This is season number 19 of Bass Talk Live with Matt Pengrack. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Aftco, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Pro Guide Batteries, Beatdown Outdoors, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, and Omnia Fishing. Hit them with the hook, Jeffries.
BTL coming at you.
Good evening and welcome to a very special edition, BTL at Night edition, where we're going to talk bass fishing. And for the first time in a year and a quarter since I completely took over the show, I'm going to say it and anything else we want to talk about. Because tonight's show does revolve around bass fishing, but it revolves around some things, maybe some unexplained mystery, some phenomenon that perhaps have been witnessed over the past 10, 15 years. And it's stuff that you sit around and talk about. And you say, dude, I was driving to the event. You're not going to believe what I saw. And I'm like, dude, we got to do a show about this. But then as you talk to one person, you find out one person, and then someone else has seen something, and then someone else has seen something. So I got three people that have seen something. And those three people are, as I go from my right to left, Matt, Stefan, BTL consultant. Matt, thank you for joining BTL.
Dude, I am so looking forward to the show based on some of the stories that I've heard you mentioned, but not actually having received the entire story. I'm looking forward to hearing all of your crazy stuff, as well as like Brandon. I heard you've got some screenshots of something that's pretty crazy too, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Bottom left, the one and only two-time Bassmaster Angler of the Year. How many elites have you won? Have you won 4 or 5? Five-time Bassmaster Elite Series. I mean, dude, when you say two-time Angler of the Year and 5-time Elite Series champ, that just lends credibility to it. So whatever he says he saw, he saw. And
we'll see.
And 41st place in the 2023 Bassmaster Opens Angler of the Year EQs, Miles Burghoff. I'm sorry you were first out of the money.
Cha-ching. Oh, not cha-ching. Sorry.
I'm sorry you were first out of the money, but you are a winner tonight.
Dude, it's all good. I am so excited for this show. This is awesome.
What does your shirt say?
Yeah, you have to stand up a little bit.
Oh gosh.
That's available in the Sonar merch store.
Yeah, sonarfishing.com. You can get the I Want to Believe exclusively on sonarfishing.com.
All right. There's only one way to do this, and we're going to dive right into the mix, and then we're also going to have some moments of reflection, and then we'll open it up to instant feedback questions. And we're going to start with the one that has intrigued me for the past 3 or 4 years. And would you all agree, though, in my intro, like I said, like Matt, how many times have you been sitting around and just and someone tells a story like, you're not going to believe what I saw today?
Dude, it happens all the time, especially if somebody comes out with a story like that. Everyone else who's sitting around generally has some crazy story that they share as well. So I think a lot of us outdoorsmen who spend so much time outside and in places that aren't necessarily all that populated, we get to see some crazy stuff.
And listen, I'll say this, Brandon. Well, you live in the third most unpopulated state in the country, I think, in Idaho, and you spend a lot of alone time reflecting on the meaning of life. And you know what Matt is talking about there too, right? There's some crazy stuff that you've seen in your day.
Oh, I mean, as much time as we spend on the water, and with the advancement of electronics that we have now, how many times have you seen just scrolling through your social where an angler found some random mysterious car that solves a mystery, where it's oh, hey, I was idling down this riverbank and found this car, and then they find out it was someone that has been missing for 20 years, and that's where that car was, in a riverbank.
Yeah. And it's usually where like Jim from your local bass club has kicked everyone's ass for the last 10 years on a Texas rigged craw. He's been bouncing it off the left bumper, catching a limit every club derby.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I think like with that technology and then the amount of time we spend out there in some wild places, you just find some wild things.
And Miles, you've spent the majority of your summers over the past 2 decades in the most uninhabited state in the 50 states of the United States. I probably could have figured a way to say that smoother. Alaska.
Yeah. I have seen so many crazy things in Alaska. Most of them are very explainable for the most part.
But some are not. That's why you're on the show tonight.
Exactly. Some are not, but yeah, it's a really cool place. It's very mysterious. Just going up there and seeing like the northern lights, like that phenomenon is like so alien to you if you've never seen it before. It's super cool. So yeah, I've seen a lot of really cool stuff up there.
If my memory serves me right, Alaska is also known as Seward's Folly, correct?
I have never heard that before.
I believe that was when Alaska was purchased. Alaska, which was an uninhabitable mountain range of ice and glacial runoff, was purchased for roughly $7 million by William H. Seward in a treaty with Russia, and that's how Alaska became part of the United States. Little info.
What a good deal that was! Holy cow!
It was $7 million. You can buy like 3 bass boats for that now.
Oh yeah. Did you know you could fit the state of Texas inside the bulk of Alaska, and it won't touch any of the edges? That's how big it is.
Wow, I did not know it was
pretty
that
crazy.
big.
Yeah, it's that
and you've
big.
seen some. You've seen some unexplainable things in that large wilderness.
Yep, I have. Not a whole lot of like unexplainable things, but I've seen like 1 or 2, but only one really comes to mind. You want me to dive into that one?
Oh yeah, we'll get there. We're going to work our way towards it. You have to kind of build up for it. I mean, we have to talk a little bit on the fishing front because it is bass fishing. Anything else? Matt, congratulations. You are off to a fantastic start on your quest to qualify for the BPT. 2 top 20 events on drastically different fisheries, sitting, I believe, in 6th place in the Invitational Angler of the Year. You got to be happy with going out and getting the job done this year so far.
Yeah, two down, 4 to go. At this point in my career, I don't really care how I get to the next level, but I get to the next level, whether that's fishing the BPT or getting back or getting over to the elites at some point. In either case, for me, I got to get to that level, and it's either road you take, it's pretty difficult. So yeah, to have the first 2 down, sitting in a decent position, I feel comfortable going into the last 4. Hopefully we can keep it rolling.
Brandon, you know all about starting in a hole and digging out. You've won an Angler of the Year, kicking things off at the beginning of the year with a 103rd place finish. The good thing is that you have everybody in the fishing world believing that you don't look at the Angler of the Year standings from the first to the last cast of the year. So you obviously have no idea where you are now. I'm assuming you're continuing that trend this year, but you're not in first.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to tell that I'm not in first with a nice, what I finished, like 90 something at Seminole, which was so frustrating because I finally cashed a check at Okeechobee for the first time in my life and backed it up with a terrible finish. So Seminole's my new Okeechobee, I guess. But the year that I won AOI in 17, I finished like 103rd, 105th, something like that at Okeechobee. And that was following a top 12 at Cherokee. And, it was kind of the same thing. I was like, man, I had this awesome start to the season, and then I felt like I blew it. And then, I guess I'm just kind of wired the way that kicks me into another gear, kind of pisses me off a little bit. And so I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. especially since our next event is the Classic. It kind of gives me a lot of motivation.
Very nice. And then Miles and I are in the same boat of chasing Capital Valuable Uncapital Angler of the Year points at the Bassmaster Open EQs. We both finished in the top 50. So I'd have to say that even though it wasn't, you were literally an ounce out of the money, but mission accomplished, 41st place out of 230 anglers to kick things off down on you. And you did it a cool way too. You did it punching the big way.
Well, one day, the first day I was just kind of light flipping to the edges of the grass, and then the front came through and got the chatterbait out and just started covering water. But we can't forget that guy down there beat us both. He may have had a bad tournament at Seminole, but he whooped us. He whooped us at Eufaula.
I caught a lot of mine on the big weight. I just went bass fishing.
Yeah, I forgot you fish Eufaula. You're those guys that I'm hoping finish in between me and the rest of the field, the jackpotters.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. Just, messing up the point calculation a little bit.
This is so weird. I got the sign ready, and I swear I put that it was the 8th on it. It says BTL at night. I did it right before the show, and someone pointed, what's wrong with your sign? Isn't it Wednesday, March 8th? And the 8 was a 9. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
Continue with Eufaula, because I'm interested on how you ended up catching him, because that turned into a slugfest, Brandon.
How I got him?
Yeah.
Man, I took my trolling motor the first day of practice, which for me was Monday. And when I had all the pollen in the water, and then I looked at the conditions thinking that we would fish that Friday, the heavy wind. I was like, you know what? I feel like just going and fishing the bank, old school, fishing the dirt, beat down. I don't want to stare at my screens. I don't want to have to battle the waves and all this pollen out there trying to find the fish and brush piles. I was like, screw it. I'm going up the river. And I turned up the river, and I never practiced in the lake. I practiced all 3 days in the river and fished my entire tournament in the river. And had a blast.
That is awesome.
Hardly saw
That
any
is cool.
boats. I mean, just went fishing and caught them on a swim jig, a frog, and punching. I was like,
wow,
this is the greatest ever.
Wow. Yeah,
that's kind of what you did,
river.
Miles.
I practiced upriver. I did catch a 6-pounder in practice up the river, and I was catching them pretty good on just that new dirty white jackhammer chatterbait and just covering water. But that kind of fizzled out for me closer to the tournament. I mean, 5 days of practice is a lot of practice when things are changing so much.
Yeah.
So I just ended up fishing right there by the ramp, punching up palmetto bugs the second day and flipping it, light flipping it the first day and fish the chatterbait too.
All right. I mean, we're 15 minutes in. I guess it's time to get to it. The one that I've been wanting to hear. So I was actually at the weigh-in when Brandon discovered, experienced, came across what he came across. We had to kind of talk Miles into doing this show. He's a little bit apprehensive to be a part of it, but what really started this was Matt Stefan, and probably about how many years did you do your YouTube video on it? How many years ago was it, Matt?
I don't know, 2 or 3 years at this point.
All right. And the floor is yours, my friend. We're gonna start with you.
You're starting with me?
Yeah, and
dude,
then we're gonna.
Like the other ones are so much cooler.
Do me afterwards. I want to do mine after his. I don't want to follow Brandon.
Okay. I'm just saying we have some interesting stuff that has been seen, and then I'll work mine into. I actually have I have a Sasquatch encounter, and like I said, I also have a ghost bride encounter at Castle Boykin's boat ramp at 3 a.m. in the morning with a full moon and fog on the lake. And after doing a little bit of history research, I stand by my story. Brandon either discovered Matt's frozen. Matt's never frozen. He has the best internet out of all of us. This is conspiracy theories. Oh, he's back.
That's the only smile you're gonna get out of him.
Brandon, just to give a little tease, in 10 seconds, why were you invited to be a part of this? What did you perhaps stumble upon in the depths of a Great Lake?
I found a massive underwater unidentified object, I guess.
Symmetrical?
Yeah. I'm not even going to give dimensions yet. I'm going to leave that for the story, but it's
symmetrical.
Perfectly symmetrical. I wish I had my hard drives. Like, I found this thing all the way back in 2013.
How far offshore?
This is before they shot down the recent UFO stuff into the Great Lakes. This is, you mean you can barely see shore?
I mean it's in the middle of a Great Lake.
It's way out there. I randomly found it, and I'll give details on all that. But I mean, I wish I had the hard drive, because I actually dropped a GoPro down there. This is before I even had an Aquaview or anything. I dropped a GoPro down there on the end of my rod just to see. And it looked like it had hallways and stuff. It's crazy.
What?
And Miles, your story involves seeing something in the Alaska sky.
Yeah, something unexplained to this day. So I saw something that I'd never seen before, and not sure exactly what it is. So I guess it qualifies as a
frozen
UFO
again
or UAV. No, that's his normal face. Oh, he's gone.
He's like literally gone.
Frozen.
Matt's frozen again.
I don't even see him on my screen now.
He's gonna have to log back out and log back in. All right, Brandon, you're up. We're gonna wait for Matt. We're gonna wait for Matt to get back on. We're gonna start with this. You kind of teased it a little bit, but set the stage. And what the heck did you see in the middle of a Great Lake?
I try to remember the dimensions. I haven't talked about this in a while. It's like 100, and I want to say it's like 120 feet wide, right? It's 120 foot diameter, perfectly symmetrical underwater object that looks like a UFO.
Rounded on the corners.
Pretty much it's perfectly round. Maybe a little bit of octagon-ish shape, but it's pretty much a perfect circle. And it's 120 feet. Like, if you are on your Mega 360 and you're sitting right in the center of it, it'll fill your whole, it'll fill 120 foot wide circle.
Whoa.
Did you find this in practice? How did you find it? I mean, how deep is it in?
It's in about 50 water. And I was just on this massive flat, and I was just driving my boat back and forth because there's really not much for contour. So I was just driving on the big motor on pad, looking for any little rise or something out there. And I was driving, and all of a sudden I just saw my graph go up and it dropped back down. And I was like, oh, and I hadn't seen anything for a while. So I shut down, spun back around, and I idle over it. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I just found. Because there's nothing on the map. There's no contours. There's nothing, all the shipwrecks and stuff are marked out there. And there's nothing. except for this giant, massive object. So obviously, like my first instinct is I'm about to find the mother load of smallmouth because it's out here in the middle of nowhere on the Great Lakes. And I picked up a drop shot, and it's in about 50 foot of water, and I think the top of it, if I remember right, sits in like 38-ish, something like that.
And this is on no map, not a single map. A map that if a rowboat sinks, there's an icon next to it on the Great Lakes that you can go fish. And this is a 120-foot symmetrical structure in the middle of one of the Great Lakes that does not exist.
Not that I've seen. And I've searched, and I've actually even watched shows of like historical shipwrecks and spawn lakes and stuff, and I've never seen anything about this.
Okay, so you picked up the drop shot. What happened?
And I instantly started catching giant smallmouth. Like every time I set the hook, it was a 4 to 5 pounder. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And like every time I'd set the hook, the whole graph would just light up off of this thing. And I was like, gosh dang, you know, and it, like, I mean, it's big. So it kind of took me a little while to figure out, like, you know, are they wanting to sit on the outside of this thing? Are they on top of it? And there's gobies all over it, you know, the whole time your bait's just down. And it's been there for a while because it's covered in zebra mussels. And so I get on my 360, this is even before I had Mega 360, but you could see it clear as day on the regular 360, and you could see it on your side edging. So it's perfectly around, but then in the center, like in the dead center, there's another circle, and then there's little almost like rectangular gaps, like imagine like windows that run around the entire outside of that.
What?
And if you drop your bait in the middle, it doesn't stop.
Wait, what?
So in that center circle, I've dropped my bait in there. Like if you can get it to fall directly down in that circle, it just keeps going. Like your line just keeps coming off your spool.
A black hole?
It's like a black hole. Like it just keeps going.
Like it'll spool you.
Goodness.
Yeah, and then when you go to bring it back, like you know, there's zebra mussels and stuff. So you never get your bait back. It just breaks off because it just cuts your line.
Whoa.
But it'll just keep going. And so I run up there first day of the tournament and I start on this thing. And I'm not even to it yet. Like I shut down, and like similar to Champlain a couple years ago, like I see a big giant dot right when I shut down. I'm like, holy cow, and I just pitch my drop shot out, but still drifting forward up toward this UFO thing. And I drop the trolling motor, I click my bail on pickup, and I set the hook, and it's like a 6-pound smallmouth. It's a freak giant. And he comes up next to the boat, jumps, and comes off. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, it sucks, but okay, there's still bass around here. Well, I fish around it. I think I had like 21, almost 22, something off of it. Great start, right? So I run back. I'm like, I'm not going to beat up on him. I run back. And I don't call the rest of the day. I'm like, okay, well, we'll go back up there day 2. Run up there day 2. I catch 1 4.5 pounder on it. Never have another bite. Don't see another fish. And I have not caught another fish over 12 inches off of it since.
Wow, they went to another dimension.
I don't know what happened. Like it's a place you'd think they would just constantly have bass, and I have checked it a bunch of times. So when we went back the next time I took a GoPro and I dropped it in there. And when you drop it down like into that center hole, it's like, it looks like it's concrete, but there's hallways that go from that center piece that it like I tried to spin the GoPro around. There's like these hallways that go I guess you'd say like parallel with those top window things. It's like they go back and there's window pieces that go up.
That is insane.
And there's just like gobies swimming around there. I've seen walleye on it, smallmouth, gobies, bunch of rock bass.
Don't you get the willies?
Oh my gosh!
Don't you get the willies fishing it? Like that would be something I don't even think I could go back to.
It's pretty trippy. I mean, but I keep thinking that I'm going to win a tournament off this thing, and then someone's going to be like, "Oh, yeah, that's."
Have you ever seen another
like
boat on it, Brandon?
What?
Have you ever seen another boat on it?
No, I've never seen anybody even close to it.
Oh my gosh! I wish you didn't catch it on it, so you can actually just share the waypoint with everybody.
Yeah,
like,
I've
that
kept
is so
away
insane.
so far. It is the wildest thing I've ever seen on my electronics, for sure.
Your electronics don't act funny. I mean, their electronics act right. Your mapping acts right. There's no glitching, nothing crazy that happens when you get around there.
No, I guess all the processors have been shut down or something.
What do you think it is?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. It's so big. Like I don't know what could it be that's like that massive. And then in like a perfect round shape that's 120 feet across.
And why would it not be on any map?
Yeah, I don't know.
You've got Matt Stefan's head spinning right now, Brandon.
It's just one of those. It's one of those things. Like do any of you guys ever like? I am not into this stuff. Like this is something that I do not get all that excited about. But I will tell you, like every time I'm running on a lake, that's a really big lake, like Lake Champlain or someplace where there's the idea of there being a sea monster. I can't tell you the number of times I think to myself, like, what would I do if a giant like sea monster just like knocked the boat out of the water? Or do you guys ever get that? I think about that all the time.
All the time, especially in Alaska. You never know what's down there, man. But even like you said, on Champlain, I think about it.
If I'm ever fishing that thing and all of a sudden it just like starts bubbling and rising toward the top, I might just pass out. I don't know what I would do. I would think that I would hope I would run away, but I think I would have to sit there and watch it.
I mean, do you think there is a chance that it might, if we're all being open-minded here, be something extraterrestrial?
For sure.
I don't know. I don't know if it's extraterrestrial, if it's like the government was like, nobody will ever find this out here and just like dumped it. Maybe it's like a port to something. I don't know.
Could it be an active structure? Do you think there's a chance that it's still an active port for something?
Stargate.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I thought like maybe it was like a water pump type deal, but there's no pipe. Like there's nothing around it.
It's miles
like
and miles and miles offshore.
Yeah, like I've looked for other stuff around it. Like there's nothing. There's no pipe. There's no rock piles.
Is it level or is it on an angle? Is it like, oh crap, we're going down and now we're embedded into the seafloor?
No.
Or is it level
flat.
on the bottom?
No, it's flat. It's like they had a parachute and it just went, hit the water and then just sunk perfectly down.
and there's hallways. I think that's a key element, that when you drop the GoPro down, there's something internal in here that was meant for travel in this structure.
Yeah, they're yeah.
I
Some
mean, that's
sort
what a
of
hallway's
travel.
for. If no one was
Something
meant to
travel,
walk
like,
down a hallway, why would you have a hallway?
Yeah, it literally, it goes down into this perfect cylinder in the center, and then like essentially hit a floor. And like when you look around, when you scan around, there's just perfect openings. You know, there's just like an opening, and then like a wall opening, and a wall, and another opening.
And I think we also glossed over the fact that you could spool a size 3000 spinning reel in the middle of this thing and it never stops, because I mean the bottom should be there.
Goes.
I mean it should be the bottom, right? So that means something has to go down subterranean.
Yeah. I literally don't know that goes. I haven't figured that part out yet.
We're getting a lot of people thinking it's an old nuclear silo.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess it could be. You think it'd be taller than that?
You get weird feelings. Like, did you hear on the back of your? I know you were freaked out when you came in. I remember you were talking. You were talking with Steve Wright and the media guys there, and you're like, guys, I found a UFO. Like, I've seen the screenshot picture that you had. You don't have it now, but I have seen it when you did it. You're like, I found a UFO. That's what you said. You're like, it's a USO, an unidentified sunken object. Yeah, it's what.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had it on. That was many phones ago, and I have a video somewhere on a hard drive.
Oh, you know, in all your spare time, you got to find that.
You got to show that to us. You got to put that on social media at some point.
Yeah. I need to dig that up. I had forgot about it, honestly, until, I mean, I remember it every time we go back to the lake, but until Matt brought it up, I hadn't thought about it in a while.
I mean, it's something you expect to turn the History Channel on and see something about it.
Oh, dude, 100%. Like I said, I've Googled and tried to find like something, you know, because I've got all those documented ships that have went down in like big storms and stuff, and like trying to figure out if there was a big cargo ship that was carrying something weird that lost it. But I'm like, there's nothing out there that talks about it.
So if it's 120, a bass boat from stern to the back of the motor is what, 25 foot long? So it's 7 bass boats across, nose to tail.
Yeah.
That's freaking huge, man.
Yeah. It's nearly half a football field.
Wow.
So almost half a football field. Just shy.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, Brandon, it's a man-made structure.
Oh, it's 100% man-made. It's too perfectly cut. Like, it's not a natural object. It's too perfect of a circle. And I mean, like those hallway window looking things, they are straight 90-degree angles. I mean,
are you using the term man-made loosely here, or do you believe it is 100% human origin, or is there a percentage of you that's saying, "Hey, you don't know"?
It didn't come from Mother Nature. I'll say
that's fair. That's fair.
Like it didn't like grow on this earth and just grow from the bottom of one of the Great Lakes. Like it came from somewhere else.
Okay, that was well told.
Whoa.
Brandon.
Gave me chills just now.
Yeah, I mean, I said, I don't know if it's like a cover up, if it's some other alien object that sunk out there and crashed, or what. But
all right. Well, we appreciate the courage that it took for you to come on and tell that story live on BTL at night, Brandon.
I'm sorry, but my story is going to need way more courage than that story. That story was so cool.
Do you want to go next, Miles? Brandon, like I said, I understand
100%.
you've got the classic coming up. You've got a lot of stuff. If you got a jet, you got a jet. Otherwise, I'll put you in the side and we'll bring back in the next extraterrestrial or the next.
No, put me in the side because I want to hear what these other ones are.
Okay. I feel like Miles is itching to tell his. Let's go with Miles next, and then we'll go with Matt. There he is, right
I'm
there.
not necessarily itching to tell it. It's just I don't think it's as cool as that one. That is. Like,
I know, but you've always been somewhat self-deprecating. You have a great story, and Matt, Stefan, and I had to literally badger you in a group text to get you to agree to come on and tell your story.
I was savagely, just brutally bullied to be on the show today. But
all right,
anyway,
set the scene.
All right. So anyway, so as you guys know, I work in Alaska every summer. I've been doing it for almost 20 years now. And I guide up there for halibut and salmon and, pretty much anything that bites up there. Do both freshwater and saltwater trips. And we were out on this saltwater day. So I had I think it was 3 or 4 guests with me. And it was a beautiful sunny day, in Southeast Alaska. We're over, we're close to Sitka area. We're in between Sitka and Juneau. And so it's essentially, you got the inside passage, it's this beautiful waterway, got all these majestic, islands and everything. And we're out there, flat, calm day. The guys are, the clients are talking, they're kind of enjoying themselves and just talking amongst themselves. And I'm sitting there just on the trolling motor, we're trolling for silver salmon. And I'm not really paying attention to what they're saying, because I out of the corner of my eye, I look over and I see this thing over this island called Admiralty Island. And it's way up. It's several miles up in the air. So I can't exactly see what it is, but it's really shiny. And we do get commercial airliners in the area. So we do see some of those. Of course, we have float planes flying around. And then you get the occasional helicopter, which is usually a Coast Guard Jayhawk. And, so I'm just trying to figure out what it is. And of course I have to look at my Garmin on the front to just pay attention to my line that I'm trolling. And I keep on looking back at it, and it's just staying in one spot. And it's as shiny as can be. It's almost like a white is how shiny it was. And I don't know what shape it really was. It kind of, from that distance, we're talking pretty far. At that distance, it looked fairly ovalish, but I can't say for sure because it was just so bright and shiny. And I'm like, what is that? And I never said anything to the guests at all, or made any comment about it. I was looking at it and I just kept on trying to think of what it could be, because it was hovering in one spot. It didn't move at all. I was able to keep track of it because the clouds were kind of moving below it. And there you go. Is that Alaska?
That's Admiralty Island right there. This is exactly where this sighting took place, Miles.
Where on Admiralty is that?
So it's a very scenic location on Admiralty Island.
Yeah, I don't recognize that one.
Maybe
but
it
anyway,
doesn't really exist.
His brain's been flashed.
Yeah, right.
I've
been deneuralized. Yeah, but so it just sat there for the longest time. I'm like, what on earth is that? Because there's no shiny helicopters around, and it didn't look like a helicopter. Helicopters generally don't hover at that height that I've ever seen before. I'm not an expert on helicopters, but I've never seen one at that altitude, just kind of hanging out.
And you're out there every day. This is, you do it every day during the summer. This isn't the first time you're there.
And you don't see that many things up there. You don't see that many flying, you don't see that many other than the occasional float plane, which generally speaking, you're talking about a plane that's flying at 500 feet or something like that. They're not flying super, super high, 500,000 feet or something like that. And obviously sitting in place, that kind of limits the type of objects that it possibly could be. And so I was like starting to think maybe I should mention this. And then I turn away 1 second. I probably looked at the garmin. I looked back up and it was gone. Never saw it again. There wasn't a sign of it. And it's very bright. And it was like almost like a star, but almost just way more like chromish white. But anyways, I ended up seeing a UAV, as they call it nowadays. I think that's what the proper terminology is. But yeah, man, I have no idea what it was. I can't think of any other object that I've ever seen up there that could possibly explain it.
And you're thinking it might be a float plane.
Well, float planes move very slow, like in the distance, like they're very slow planes, like a de Havilland Beaver.
That's what that is right there. That does not look like a shiny circular object to me. That's an otter.
That's a turbo.
Yeah,
it's either a turbo otter.
It could look
otter,
ovalish. Yeah. The sun shining off of it, and it was shiny white. Like it could. But the thing is that it can't be a float plane. Is the fact that he looked down, looked back, and it was gone.
Float planes are slow, and they're also not that high. I mean, slow. You don't get up that high.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. If it was that high, and for some reason it's an optical illusion where the clouds are moving at a certain pace, and it just kind of looks like it's sitting there in place. But honestly, I looked at it for too long for that to be the case. And honestly, I in my head I was like, well, that's nope. That's kind of what was in my head. So I'm sitting there, and I didn't mention it to anybody. I didn't go back to the lodge and just say, hey, I saw a UFO. I literally have not said anything until you sent me a text this morning saying, have you ever seen a chupacabra, a UFO, a ghost, or a Bigfoot? And I was like, actually, and I can't believe I even brought it up, but yeah, it was super bizarre, super weird.
There was nothing else in the sky, and it was gone that quick.
Nothing. And the only thing, obviously, the sun reflecting off of something, it could disappear if it
But you think you'd see it at a different angle? You're looking for it at this point.
I looked hard after that, and it wasn't like there was a cloud up that high for it to hide behind. So I don't know. I'm not sold on the whole idea that it's extraterrestrial, but you know what? It was interesting for sure.
Did it give you a weird feeling? And why didn't you mention it? It obviously gave you a weird feeling, or else you would have mentioned it. You would have said, hey, did anyone else notice there's something there that is no longer here?
No, I did not mention it at all to any of the guys on the boat. We were focused on not catching silver salmon. That's what we were focused on.
Had you been catching them before you saw the object?
No, but oddly enough, I started catching smallmouth after I saw it. So
up in Alaska.
That was kind of bizarre. Yeah.
All right, Matt, Stefan, weigh in on this. What are your thoughts?
How long, Miles? How long were you looking at it? Like, how long was it in the sky?
I would say I was aware of it for about 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
I'm sitting there, but you also are very busy. Like trolling is I don't think it was a very good bite that day. So it wasn't like I was working the downriggers that much, but you still work the downriggers a lot. So it's like, in that 10 minutes time, it wasn't like I was looking at it nonstop. I was like dealing with, putting the downriggers down to another 20 foot, or, somebody, lost some bait or something. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But every time I'd get back in the sea, I'd be like, I wonder what's going on with that thing up there. And it would still be there until that one time I looked away and it was gone.
So when you saw it up there hovering in the sky, like, were you thinking it could be something crazy, or were you just like, it didn't even matter until it disappeared?
I was hoping. I want to believe, Matt. I want to believe.
But it did cross your mind, this is unusual. Have not seen this here before.
No, for sure. I mean, I would not be mentioning it if I didn't think it was super odd, to say the least. It was just something that it didn't check any of the boxes for any of the type of aerial vehicles you see. Like, it could have been a Chinese spy balloon, but unfortunately, that doesn't explain the sudden disappearance of it. So who knows? I mean, with all the recent occurrences with I think they call them UAVs nowadays. We'll call them UFOs because that's the classic. But with everything happening, and have you guys seen the news about all these UFOs up in Alaska getting shot down and stuff? So
yeah.
It does happen up there. Like there are things that we don't know what they are. I definitely do not know what it was, but I don't know.
And you're not that far from Russia.
No, not that far from Russia. It could have been Russia.
It's like a 45-minute boat ride from Russia. Well, maybe not right there, but I mean, Alaska in general.
In a bass boat, yeah.
Did you ever see it move at all while your eyes were on it? Like, it was always stationary and then gone?
It's hard. To me, it didn't look like it moved at all. It just kind of sat there. But being that high up in that, but I'm saying it's that far up, depending on the size of it, it could have just been a couple, like a mile up or something like that. But it took, I don't know, man. I don't think that. Question again? Now I'm getting all fired up.
Did it move at all? Was there any movement whatsoever?
No,
it was
didn't
stationary
look like it.
and then it was gone.
Look it. I'm already trying to explain it. I really can't explain it. It just sat there. It just sat there until it didn't sit there, and then it wasn't there anymore.
Why didn't you say something to the other people in the boat?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't want to just be like, hey, what's that shiny thing up there? And then by the time they were deep in a conversation, and then when I finally was like starting to get kind of weirded out by it, it kind of just ended up disappearing at that time. Because before I'm like, oh, look at it, look at that thing, and then 10 minutes goes by and it was just like, well, this is getting weird. Like that's kind of the thought process, the whole process you go through with it. And then finally, when it was gone, I mean, there's no reason to look like a crazy person, except for now.
And this is a judgment-free zone for us. You're probably getting judged by all the live viewers, but
true.
That's
my story.
And you've never seen it since then? Did you ever research it? Did you ever look up anything to see maybe what it might be? Did you ever see like NOAA weather balloons in the area or did you just bury it deep inside of you for years?
Yeah, that, and also we don't have internet up there. So it's like, I didn't do any research. Once we get off the water, you can't do research. And I just forgot about it. I literally forgot about it until you guys texted me this morning. And then I was like, oh yeah, that weird thing.
All right. Any questions, Brandon? Uh-oh. Brandon's audio's gone.
Hold on. We're good.
You're back.
Just had it muted. That was on me. I thought I saw something like that at Toho last year. Practice. I didn't know that they were doing a SpaceX launch, and I'm just sitting there practicing, and the sun's going down, and all of a sudden I just see this giant glowing ball flying through the sky, and I'm like, and I'm on the phone with Justin Atkins. I'm like, dude, look up in the sky right now. Do you see this? And he's like, what is that? Neither one of us knew that there was supposed to be a SpaceX launch. and all you saw was just this giant glowing ball flying through the sky, and then you saw it separate, and then the satellite whatever launch just like kept going into orbit, and you saw it actually start rotating around the Earth, and then you just watched the launch rocket just come back and perfectly land. Well, it disappeared in the skyline, but I thought for sure, cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a UFO. And then I found out, like, no, it's just
Matt Stefan and I saw that same thing at Lake Murray a couple years ago. It was crazy. First thing in the morning.
It's super cool. I just sat there and
really
watched
cool.
it the whole time.
The coolest thing that I'd ever seen, literally while I was waiting on my two roommates who made the Elite Series at Sam Rayburn this past year, I was just there for moral support. Anyway, all my stuff's on the trailer and whatever, and Brad had to go back, so I'm sitting on the middle seat of his Phoenix while the two Elite Series qualifiers, John and Brad, are high-fiving over my head. Good motivation. And we look up, and there's Elon's string of satellites. And I had never seen that before. I'd never seen the Tesla string of satellites, and it was going across the sky, and it literally looked like Santa's reindeer. Just a string of like 60 freaking deals, and it was wild. But someone was like, "Hey, that's the Tesla satellites." All right.
I saw that about a month ago at my house. It freaked me out. The two weirdest things that have ever freaked me out are those two things. When I saw Starlink for the first time like a month ago, and then 2 years ago at Lake Murray in the morning when that SpaceX ship took off. It was like shivers going down your back. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
It did not look normal. It did not. It had like these flares, these like solar flare looking things coming off of it. It was really neat.
Thank you, Miles. That was good stuff. All right, you're going back, and the time has arrived.
I don't know why. Why is my story this huge ordeal? What is it about Bigfoot that intrigues you?
You literally have the most authentic encounter in the history. Like, seriously, you have watched the Finding Bigfoot thing and I think we all have. And all I know is if you watch your video, you have the most authentic encounter that has ever or will ever be, outside of someone being like, yeah, one comes over for dinner every Wednesday night and we eat lasagna.
Dude, and honestly, I wish I hadn't seen what I saw. Like, I don't know how else to put it, because now, like, I don't like being in the woods by myself after seeing what I saw. And I don't know exactly what I saw, but it's kind of an entertaining story. So, yeah, if you want me to dive into it, I can dive into it right now.
Head first, my friend.
All right. So, I don't remember what year this is. I'm going to say it was probably like 2013. I was leaving from my house in central Wisconsin, the Stevens Point area. I had my team fishing partner with me, and we left probably my house, I'm going to say at like 4 a.m., and we were driving up to the Hayward, Wisconsin area to fish a tournament on the Chippewa Flowage, which is about a 2.5-hour drive from my house, and it's through pretty much, just complete wilderness. You go through a few small towns, but nothing special. And there's a small town you get up to that's called Phillips. And instead of going through the town, I've got some shortcut routes that go around the town that kind of just stay out in Chequamegon National Forest land. And so I'm taking the shortcut around the town, and you got to take a left. You go about a couple miles, you take a right. And then as I make that right, I can show you if you want to look for the exact place. So go to Phillips. Oh, you probably can't get it on.
No, that's fine. I was just showing people the part of the neck of the woods that you were in. That's Phillips. That's the county that Phillips, Wisconsin's in.
So way up there. And I make a right turn onto this little, really old. It wasn't a logging road. It was paved, but it was not anything fancy. It was just a little unmarked road for the most part. And when I make the right turn, I'm going to say it's probably 5:45-ish in the morning. So, in Wisconsin, this was, I don't recall the exact date, but I mean, it wasn't dark out. It was twilight, but it was definitely light enough to see everything. And we make a right turn, and at the same time, my team partner and I both go bear, right? Because in the middle of the road, there's a big black object. And at the same time, like we go bear, the object looks over its right shoulder, gets up on two legs, and runs into the woods. And when I say runs, I've never seen anything run. I've never seen any human run like this did. And I know everyone's like, oh, bears can walk on 2 feet. Well, you show me a black bear that can run 30 feet into the woods in like 3 steps and do it in the most smooth motion I've ever seen. So we drive, at that point when we turned, I'm going to say we were probably, I don't know, 75 yards, 100 yards. Like it was a decent distance, but not that far away. The object was big too. I mean, it was not a small, being. I would say 6 to 8 feet. I mean, it was a big, I'm 6'4", and it was every bit the size of me. And the funny thing is, so that's the sighting, the sighting in itself. But we drive by it, and my buddy and I sat there silent for it felt like forever. And finally, I'm like, if I didn't know better, and he finished my sentence, he goes, Bigfoot. And I was like, dude, man, that was just wild. So we ended up going up to the tournament, fishing the tournament. We won the event. We come home, and I was talking to my mom on the phone, and I mentioned it to her. I'm like, man, if I didn't know better, I think I saw Bigfoot on the way up there. And she's not crazy enough, but she's the one that kind of started the whole rest of the story, because she's like, well, has there ever been a Bigfoot sighting in Wisconsin? It's not something that truly has motivated me enough to really look into. But when she said that, I'm like, man, I should look into this. Or I just Googled Bigfoot in Wisconsin, and sure shit, dude, the hotbed for Bigfoot sightings is Phillips, Wisconsin. That's where it happens.
What?
There's stories about owners of St. Croix rods, seeing things and hearing things. I'm not the only one that has seen stuff around there. So much so that it's almost become a town mascot where they call it Big Phil, and which makes me think maybe somebody's dressing up. Literally, maybe somebody's dressing up. But the movement of this object makes me go, there's no way it was somebody in a costume that just pulled it off. But so when that so in my research, I stumbled upon a website called the BFRO, Bigfoot Researchers Organization, which at this point, a lot of people have told me they're complete scum. All they want to do is make money off Bigfoot. I don't know, but at the time, I'm like, well, maybe somebody's interested in this. So I filed a report, thinking, hey, if somebody wants to look, oh God, you got it up there.
Yes.
Oh,
Awesome.
2013,
This is so
July
cool.
12th, Wisconsin, Price County, Phillips, nearest road, East Wilson, Flowage Road. Continue, and then we can read the report.
So yeah, 5:30 in the morning in Wisconsin in July is 7:30. I mean, it's bright. So so I filed the report, and at that time I was working at the Chicago Board of Trade. I think that was before we merged with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And I remember getting a call from a guy, and because I was working, I didn't answer it. I wasn't familiar with the number, and it was on my cell phone. So I get this voicemail. I had it for years. I so wish I had the voicemail. But it was a guy who works for the BFRO, who was looking into my sighting, I guess, or my report.
His name was Robert Barheit.
Sure. I don't remember.
No, it is. It's on the investigation here. It's on the follow-up.
Okay. Well, Robert, I'm not trying to make fun of Robert in this, but it was such a funny thing, and part of the thing that I remember the most, because he left a voicemail and he's like, listen, I'd like to verify this so I can post it. And he's like, I'd really like to go up there and camp for a couple of weeks. Give me a call back at any time. I have nothing going on. Literally, I have nothing going on so call me whenever. And I just remember like listening to it and breaking out laughing because I'm like, well, you're a Bigfoot like seeker. You probably don't have that much going on. And I played it for a bunch of the other employees that I worked with, and we all, had a good time about it. But I called him back, walked it through it. The guy was so excited. Like, and I'm like, dude, this is where it is. If you want to go camp there for 6 months, feel free. I just felt like I honestly felt like it was my people that care about it. I could care less. I honestly, at this point, would feel like it would be easier if there was no such thing as Bigfoot, but I still felt like based on what I saw, I should report it. So I reported it to him, and I thought I was done at that point. And then like 3 years later, I was driving to a tournament. I think it was like 2016 or 2017. And I got a random phone call from the Finding Bigfoot TV show. And they're like, hey, we're coming to Wisconsin. You've got one of the best, most recent sightings. We'd love you to go on it. And that was a voice message. And I was like, I'm not even responding to this. And then I got subsequent another email, which I can dig up at this point, but it was the associate producer. We want you to be on it. So they contacted me like 3-4 times. Finally, I went ahead and responded back. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of interested because maybe it's a good sponsor opportunity. Maybe I can promote some sponsors. So
could you imagine if Matt was just leaned up against that tree?
That's great.
So I remember like I reached out. One of the guys I talked to was my buddy Kurt, who owned Dirty Jigs at the time, and I was like, Kurt, I could go on this. I could wear a Dirty Jig shirt. She, because I asked her, I said, is there any limitations as to what I can wear? And she's like, as long as it's not, something that's vulgar or whatever, you can wear whatever it is that you want. And I was like, well, can I say Bigfoot was holding a bag of jerky when I saw him, like a bag of Bridgeford jerky? And she's like, no. Well, is that what you saw? I'm like, no, but could I make a joke about that? And she's like, no, we'd like it to be serious. I'm like, all right, well. So when I talked to Kurt at Dirty Jigs about it, he's just like, absolutely, you have to do it, but you cannot wear any of our clothing on that show, but you have to go and do it. And I just looked at him like, you just want to, make fun of me for doing it. And then later on, I didn't bring it up directly to Bridgeford, but I told Al Bridgeford this story. I was fishing with him on Table Rock Lake, and I told him the story about it. And like, he cut me off right in the middle of the story. And he's like, Matt, I don't ever want to hear you talk about Bigfoot again. And I thought he was joking. And I was like, but he was serious. And I'm like, what is going on? And then it dawned on me that one of their main competitors is Jack Lynx, and Jack Lynx is, got Sasquatch as their commercial guy.
But here's the problem. If you had been sponsored by Jack Lynx and then came out that you had seen a Sasquatch, everyone would be like,
man.
But the fact that you are sponsored by a quality meat company that scares Jack Lynx makes it even more valid.
So in a nutshell, I turned down my Finding Bigfoot show. My team partner did not want to go on it either.
And he won't talk about it to this day, right? Is what you told me?
Yeah, he if we were sitting around having a beer, he'd talk about it and confirm everything I'm mentioning, but he's probably not real happy with me right now telling the story again, because it just brings it up. And like I said, he's not a super huge fan of it, but it's just at this point, it's something that's more entertaining because it was something I saw that was not just myself, but my team partner as well. And to me, it's entertaining because of how it continues to pop up like years and years
People
later.
Like me.
And it's, yeah.
Let me get this out of the way. I mentioned this on a BTL episode before. The Sasquatch that is on your door behind you, that's a total coincidence. That's actually something completely. It's not like you were like, hey, I'd like an 8-foot cutout.
Yeah, well, I 3 years ago, when I started my YouTube channel, I told the story, and that's kind of gone, gotten a ton of views. But because of that, and people now, recognize me as a Bigfoot person, I get sent Bigfoot stuff all the time. So that cutout on the back is a buddy of mine that owns the Bottle Stop and Taps and Tackle, which is like a bait shop place where you can go have a beer while you shop for tackle. It's one of the greatest ideas ever here in Stevens Point, but it's actually an advertisement for Portlandia wine that he got as an advertisement because he owns a liquor store and he thought that I should have it. So he gave it to me, but I get sent, dude, Bigfoot t-shirts and all kinds of crap all the time. And it's just one of those things where it's entertaining, I guess, but it's like, I don't need any more Bigfoot stuff. People don't send me any Bigfoot
All
stuff.
right, let's get to report number 41657 on BFRO.net, posted July 16th, 2013. Now, this is in red. If you see what I just highlighted right there and circled, that is a Class A sighting, which I believe is the most highest level of sighting you can have outside of, like I said, having one over every Wednesday for lasagna, right?
Class A for sure.
Is that correct, Matt?
I don't know. I don't know that I've ever come back and read this. So,
first time for everything.
If you're telling me Class A means it was a good sighting, then I guess that's right. But
I believe that is the highest level of sighting, as opposed to hearing one scream or finding a footprint or whatever. Like I said, I don't want to make fun because these guys take this very seriously. Basically, what you observed is kind of the story that you just told. So I'm not going to go back word for word on this. A simple Google search for those of you interested can find the actual report. But
that's the actual report that you're looking at?
Yes, I am on BFRO.com.
Yeah, that's his report. That's so cool.
I don't know if I can zoom it in. Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Much to it. There you go, Matt. I'm sure. Look at that.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost word for word. I was reading it.
It is. Other witnesses, yes, my friend, who your friend's not named in it, I'm assuming based on his per request. We're both watching straight ahead to make sure. Heavily wooded. So follow-up investigation by BFRO investigator. Robert Burrow. I spoke with Matt on 8/8/2013. So this was almost a decade ago. He vividly recalls the incident. I saw a tall black creature crouch in the middle of the road about 7. We both explained bear. So that, like I said, this is the only sighting I've ever seen where someone wasn't like lurking or, you saw the dang thing, Matt.
Dude, I mean, if you put a gun to my head and said, what did you see?
You saw something that looked like, quote, a football player on steroids with an upper torso that was extremely thick and broad.
You know, I don't recall saying that, but
that is a direct quote.
Sure I did. But one thing I do recall doing now that we're diving into this is I remember looking to see if there was like an escaped gorilla, because it was that big and like it was massive. And when I looked for it, it was funny because I thought I actually may have stumbled on something, because there had been an escaped gorilla in Minnesota, I believe, but it was the year earlier and they captured it. So that wasn't it. But that, like, I just remember trying to like debunk myself. Like maybe there's something, maybe some zoo or something in the area or whatever. But
both witnesses observed that it ran into the woods with ease and not like a circus bear.
A circus bear. I like that differentiation.
They slowly drove past the spot where it ran into the woods, but it had disappeared. Neither one said anything for a couple minutes.
It was ridiculous, like crazy.
If you ever see that again, you have to stop your vehicle and get out and go try to like find footprints or something.
Oh, 100%. Why didn't you try to find footprints, bro?
Well, dude, that's
kind
of why.
They're on their way
Brandon,
to the
that's
Derby.
why I asked you earlier. Like, I'm the type of guy that runs from that shit. So, like, had I found your UFO, I'm not fishing it. You got more balls than I do. You're catching giant smallmouth out of it, and I'm thinking there's no way in heck I'm gonna try to catch a smallmouth out of a potential UFO. So like
He's
when it comes
pitching
to
a drop
when it comes
shot
to
into a
Bigfoot, I'm-
Stargate.
Let me ask you this, Matt. Now, in your current state, if you're approached by Finding Bigfoot or another one of these shows to say it on there, would you take that offer then?
No.
At the point of life
No.
that you're in now? No, you still wouldn't.
No, well, I mean the story's out there, which is fine, but I'm not interested in like finding him. I don't want to be around when they find him. Like if they find him, great, but I'd rather have somebody else use the information I saw and go out there and potentially put themselves in a death-defying situation with Bigfoot than me be there. Like that's.
But you
if
had a
somebody else
visceral
cares that much,
reaction.
they can
Like
go
you
do it.
had, did you have the hair on the back of your neck, your arms stand up? Did you have an
Oh, dude.
immediate, this is something that is not normal?
It wasn't necessarily a feeling of being scared at the time. It was a feeling of just being completely baffled, like trying to process what it was that we had just both seen. Like I honestly had I not been there with my buddy Jason at the time, I don't know that I ever would have shared the story. Like from the standpoint of, I feel much better telling the story because I wasn't the only one that saw it. Had I been the only one that saw it, I feel like a lot of people could be like, oh, you're just a quack job, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, at least I have comfort that somebody else saw exactly what I saw.
Miles, what do you think? What do you think Matt Stefan saw?
Well, I'd have to say, when he first told me the story, I was just like, it's probably a bear. Either like a black bear. They are
Not a circus bear. We identified that. It wasn't a circus bear.
It could potentially have been a circus bear because they can run differently. But it's more of a waddle that you see from bears that are standing upright. So I don't think it could be what he saw. In fact, Matt, I would love it if you stood up and showed us exactly the stride that this Bigfoot had. Please show us.
Have you guys seen have you seen the videos of like the I'm trying to think, what are they called? Like the king gorilla, the silverback, is that right? When they're talking silverbacks, you ever see how fluid they move around? Like when they're in a cage, they'll like 4 fucking steps, excuse my language, sorry, 4 big gliding steps, and they'll be like 50 feet over. And at the same time, like they could have slapped 3 little gorillas out of the way. It was that fluid motion that just flabbergasted me still to this day.
Looks like that. Oh my goodness.
No, it wasn't like that. It was much larger steps.
That's a silverback gorilla walking.
No, but I'm saying like when they're
impressive though. Oh my gosh.
yeah, right.
I mean that's very fluid.
You
That
asked
looks
for
like
a silverback
That looks
gorilla
like
walking.
Krosnick walking up to the bag line.
I don't know why that was circled.
Oh no.
Dude, that's not the fluidness I'm talking about. I'm talking about when
Show us, please.
I can't do it. No human could do it. I saw. It was probably the driver of the UFO that you guys both saw. Some space alien. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm a crazy guy, I guess, but I really feel like I have
No, you're not. You're not a crazy. That's what makes this. You're a normal dude.
That's the most legit one I've heard.
Reflective.
Yeah, did you notice? Did you notice eyes? Did you notice any of that stuff?
There was no like reflection of the eyes, but it was very clear. Like it was a very clear head turn over its shoulder when it recognized that we were turning and coming towards it. I mean, it just boom into the woods. This is the one I think I'm talking about, where he like swings around and like
that. That's what it looked like.
I mean, it looked kind of like that. Yeah.
Did it have broad shoulders?
Yeah, dude, it was huge. It was a huge creature.
But was it more Did it look like it had longer legs than a gorilla though? They got
Yeah,
pretty short legs.
It was more tall than short and
All
right.
right.
More human proportionate.
We're going to move on, but like I ask everyone else, I asked this to Brandon, I asked this to Miles. What do you think you saw?
Dude, I mean, if I had to guess what I saw, and there is a such thing as a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch, that would be what I would think it was. But my common sense, like I am not a believer. I think there's a way better shot at having alien life than we do in terms of having like a Sasquatch running around. So from that standpoint, I cannot sit here and say that I absolutely think that's what it was. But if you put a gun to my head, I'd say I saw something that sure as heck resembles what people say is Bigfoot.
All right, dude, I appreciate you coming on to talking about that story.
I love, we're all going to get crap for this. You know that, Matt.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Brandon, summarize Matt's story. What do you think he saw?
I mean, it's the most legit Bigfoot encounter story I've heard.
Exactly.
My stepbrother swears that he's seen one elk hunting in Idaho. And he swears.
But did he just see a portion of one? Was it running through the woods?
Yeah, I mean, like Matt saw his in like a roadway, not like, most of them saw something passing through the woods. Like that's hard to identify. I was in great detail, and he told it 10 years later, almost to word for word for how it was the report, without him even knowing that report was out there. Really, It's not like he went back and read the report.
No, I
know the report is there, but I have not. If I read the report, it was probably right after they posted it. I haven't seen it since then.
Yeah, it was like
he's
10 years ago or something.
Yeah,
he's like the Bob Lazar of Bigfoot.
But Miles, Matt,
changed.
You guys are buddies. He says this with conviction.
Matt is no BS. If he says it happened, it happened. Believe me, he has no imagination.
All right. Are
What,
we?
Dude, I am not.
If he saw anything, he saw Sasquatch. It's like he either saw nothing or he saw something and it was Sasquatch. Because like, there's not anything else in the world moves like that.
There's nothing else that I'm aware of in Wisconsin or anywhere really that could resemble what I saw. And
was it a bipedal moose?
Honestly, I am sincere when I say I wish I had not seen it, because I am an individual that likes to have certainty in things, and this is something that is I don't know.
Not a certainty in.
I have no certainty at all on this.
All right, are we ready to move on to my unexplained story?
Let's hear your Bigfoot story first. I want to compare yours to mine.
Okay, well, mine is I've got two. Mine's the typical hazy, and mine won't take very long because then we'll get to the hair raising one, the ghost bride of Castle Boykin's boat ramp. The first one was in Alaska, and I was up there with my buddy Owen and his dad, and they owned Alaska West Air, and we were fishing for kings on the Talchalitna River. When you go down and there's no one there, right? Land on a sandbar when you see the kings from the air and you fish. Well, they're like, hey, stick around close. We've got the guns. Just be a little bit aware of bears. But I'm throwing a big single MEPS spinner with a single hook on it. And we're spread out along this kind of stretch of river, and we're on Indian land. And all of a sudden we hear something. And it was weird. Like they kind of noticed it. It was enough for Owen's dad to get the rifle out of the helicopter, because they're on like a sandbar and then you wade across. And so I'm fishing, and all of a sudden this tree behind me, the wind is blowing to the east, and all of a sudden this tree just goes wham to the west. And Owen's dad like locks the frickin' gun, and he's like, let's go. And Owen's like, seriously, get to the chopper. And I'm like, the hell's going on? Like, a tree fell. And they're like, get in the helicopter right now. And they got in the helicopter. I didn't say anything, and we took off. I'm like, the heck was that about? And they were like, yeah, we don't mess around with that. And I'm like, what is going on? Come to find out, that's, you know, you talk to the natives that live in that neck of the woods, and that's the warning signs for the whatever they call their version of the Yeti or the Sasquatch, that they're very territorial. And that, I mean, dude, the tree was like, I mean, it was probably 16 to 20 inches across. And it was, you know, right behind me in the woods.
Wow.
And it went the opposite way of the wind. The wind's blowing east, it falls to the west. And it was not like it was a dead tree. It was a fully alive tree that just went wham.
Wow. That's nuts, man. And then the best part is that they're just like, everybody to the chopper.
It was just me, Owen, and his dad. And they were just like, yep, let's go right now. Like, there was no like, hey, let's see what that was.
So have you discussed that with them since? Like, were
Absolutely.
they the one? And they said that was what that potentially could be.
Yes.
Have they seen it before?
It's dodgy. They're not thrilled to talk about it.
Not as credible as that's
not as credible as Matt's. Like I said,
story.
These are all, so then these are all kind of, you know, they're kind of the, so then get this one. This is the one that had me thinking for about 12 hours of driving. So we fished the Toho Open last year, right? And I'm getting out of town on that Saturday morning early, and it's one of those low, foggy mornings in Florida. And I've got to drive across the Florida swampland. I'm on that. It's the part of Florida that no one knows exists. The farmland kind of swamp, you know, the middle of Florida is really not populated. And I'm driving on a divided highway. And I mean, it's like 6:30 in the morning, and it's flat, and way up in front of me, I did the same thing. I thought someone had hit a black bear. And there was this big, lumpy, furry thing in the median of the road. It's a ways off, right? And there's only one car coming, and it's a black car with no markings on it and tinted out windows. And as I drive past with my boat, I'm like, what? Like, I vividly remember thinking, what the hell is that thing? And as I'm approaching, this car drives up really fast. Some dude gets out of this blacked out SUV and very quickly throws a blanket over whatever the hell this is on the ground. And then I'm passed and on with my drive.
Whoa.
And I'm sitting there going,
and you just like passed it in the other lane?
It's a divided highway. So there are two lanes going whatever north, okay, and two lanes going south, but they're a little separated. Yeah. They're separated, right? With a big center median. I don't know, whatever highway it is. Big center median. I mean, it's spread out. And I mean, it all happened in 15 seconds. Something cool that I wanted to look at. Thought maybe it was a black bear. Thought maybe it was, I didn't know what it was. That's the thing. And then some vehicle and some dude just tosses a blanket over it as I pass it approach. And I'm like looking in my rear view mirror, and that was it. But what, I mean, what, why, what the heck? Why would that happen? Did I see it and go, that's a Sasquatch? No. Did I see it and was I like, what is that? That's freaking huge and hairy and dark. Yes, I did. I wanted to see what it was, but there was a unmarked vehicle with blacked out windows and a dude that looked like he was from Men in Black that put a blanket on it before I could really see it as I went past. I mean, he was pulling up as I was coming, and then like I think he saw. I don't know what I saw. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I have no idea what the hell it was.
If you had said that it was you just saw something big, black and hairy, I would be like, that is definitely like a wild boar down there. Like that is what you would expect to see. But why would you put a blanket over a wild boar that you just hit?
That was kind of my question as well.
Wow.
How would that other car know to jump out and cover it up? Like, you think somebody shot it or they got tracking?
I think it got I think it got hit by a car.
And somebody reported it?
I don't know. That's all I know. All I know is I was driving. I was like, what the hell is that thing? It was big, black, and hairy. A freaking unmarked vehicle whips up, jumps out, and tosses a covering over this thing as I pass it. And there's no other vehicles.
When you say unmarked, do you mean like no license plate or what?
No, I'm just talking like a black Tahoe.
Okay.
Like what you'd see in
tinted windows.
Yeah, like what you'd see in a Men in Black movie.
Was the guy wearing a suit when he hopped out?
He looked like he looked like he was in some sort of uniform. Like I thought my initial thing was unmarked cop car. That was my initial thing that went through my head, was that it was an unmarked cop car.
Maybe he was just trying to save the meat. Protect the meat from the flies.
Very possible. Like I said, I mean, it could have been a hog. I don't know what else it could have been. I did not get a fantastic look at it. I got the classic Yeti look at it. The classic Sasquatch look. You know what I mean?
That is weird. I wouldn't put a perfectly good blanket over a dead wild boar. So there's something else going on there.
It's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what Miles thinks about, is making sure that the blanket doesn't get dirty.
I want to make sure the meat's good. You got to protect the meat.
I really appreciate all three of you guys spending the time. We're at hour 28 minutes in, where we've got a lot of live viewers on here. So I will compromise myself with the Ghost Bride of Castle Boykin's boat ramp here, which will pretty much make it'll put me in the realm of all three of you guys. Do you? I guess, should I just dive into this right off the hopper?
Yeah,
all right.
For sure.
So I think this would have been 2000, and you can check on my FLW profile. I think it was 2000, and it would have been 2019. And I was fishing the Toyota series on Sam Rayburn. Had never been to Sam Rayburn in my life. Did not know a thing. I mean, just to cover the Elite series was the only time. But as far as fishing, I didn't. And it was flooded. So I wanted to go flip bushes in the canyons, which means I needed to put in at Castle Boykin's boat ramp. But I was doing Kurt Dove's Pro Bass Camp on Amistad. So I had to drive from Amistad, which is down here, to East Texas. And I did that drive to where I was like, looked at my MapQuest and all that, or my phone, and was like, hey, I'm going to get in at 3 or 4 in the morning if I drive straight through. But I didn't want to miss a day of practice. So I said, I'll just sleep at the boat ramp. I'd never been to that boat ramp before. So I roll in, and you go through that whole deal with, you don't have cell phone service and all that. And you're like, holy cow, I'm in East Texas now. And
there's nothing around that boat ramp.
Yeah. I mean, explain, Brandon, like, how in the middle of nowhere is Castle Boykin's boat ramp?
I mean, it's out there. And like you said, service is sketchy around there. It's not like you have
It
a lot
is.
of service. I mean, there's
And-
some houses, like you pass some little like kind of, I don't know, rundown farmhouse deals like when you're driving in there. But like the actual boat ramps, it's not. You're not around any major cities. Like Castle Boykin boat ramp's not a place where people just go and like hang out for the evening, watch the sunset.
Oh, someone was hanging out there in the evening that evening. So I roll in, and it's a two-tiered boat ramp. So you have to picture the parking lot is kind of below the pavilion, and it's on a point. And I don't really know how new the pavilion is, but this is the visual here. So this is basically the view that I had when I was looking at it. This is the closest. So if you're down on the parking lot, you're kind of looking out, and then you can see in the background here, this is a major point there on Sam Rayburn Reservoir. So I roll in at 3 a.m, and I vividly remember it was a very foggy night. Like I had to go through several patches of fog to get one of those super still kind of sticky nights. I think it was maybe a June tournament. It was a June tournament. It was hot as hell. And I had never seen the lake there. And you come up over the edge there, and there was that low fog that hangs over the lake that's about the height of the bass boat, to where it's not like a dense fog bank, but you can see it. And it was a full moon. I remember thinking, boy, that freaking looks cool. Like I can't wait. So my plan was, I'm going to park in the parking lot. I'm going to sleep for a couple hours, and then I'm going to get after it. So I go down into the parking lot, and everything's copacetic at this point. I have no issues whatsoever. And I had my pillow with me, and I was the only truck boat vehicle in the parking lot. I thought there'd maybe be a couple other guys that were sleeping to start practice the next day. I was the only boat in the parking lot. So I put my seat back, recline my seat like that, and I turned my head this way. It's like 3:30 in the morning. So I'm seeing from the parking lot this view basically right here. And it's kind of light because of the full moon. And I see some movement up there. God, I can't believe I'm telling this story. I got the.
He's getting all hot and bothered.
No, I've got the. I mean, dude, I've got. Can you see that on the arm? That arm. Look at that hair standing straight up.
Whoa.
I look, and I'm sitting, and I look up, and I see some movement, and I'm like, that's weird that someone's up there at 3:30 in the morning. And I'm just like that, and I'm looking because I'm just making sure where are my surroundings, and it's someone in a wedding dress.
Whoa.
And I just remember this. They have like they're holding the flowers. Okay, like the mug, like they're holding the flowers like this, and they're walking from this part of the pavilion over like this, like towards to go look out over the lake. So picture that. And I'm like, that's kind of weird, but I figured, okay, maybe they're doing some weird photography thing, right? Where they're doing like their wedding photos, and they wanted a full moon with low light, and they're going to be like that. But then I remember thinking that's like an old timey wedding dress. Like it wasn't like a new flowing white wedding dress gown. It was kind of like that off-colored white, like old, like black and white style. And I'm like, then I got the goosebumps, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up and everything. Because I was like, what in the hell am I looking at? And it's kind of, it's kind of off in the distance. This is the, like I said, the best photo. I mean, it's like, you could tell there's someone, you can see it. So I put my seat up, and now I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I turn back, gone. Completely gone. There's no other vehicles in the parking lot. No one left the parking lot. No one was in the parking lot when I was first there.
Guess it's time to launch down by the dam.
Was the exact same thing that Miles saw floating in the air in Alaska.
No,
Miles, did
It
it
did
look
have a wedding
anything
dress
like
on.
did it look anything like a glowing wedding dress?
An old-timey wedding dress?
it just looked like someone slowly walking across the pavilion in an old wedding dress. Her hair was up. The wedding dress was kind of long, holding flowers like this, walking towards the point.
So what did you do?
I freaking didn't sleep for the next 2 hours.
You stayed in the
There.
parking lot?
Yeah, I wouldn't stay there.
I mean, I locked it. And I mean, what am I supposed to do? I'm in Texas. There's nowhere to go. Like, where am I going to go?
There really isn't anything around there.
No, there's not really anywhere else you go.
I mean, it's not like I can go hang out at the,
I don't know, man.
at the Pump and Munch.
Pump and
I mean,
munch.
how far is that gas station on the corner?
Like 3
It's like
miles.
the-
You have to go all the way down it and then go
3
through the campground and the whole 9 yards. So I was convinced enough that I've done as much research as I can about Castle Boyka's boat ramp and tried to figure out, like, was there something, like, it gives me the goosebumps right now just to even talk about it. Was there something that went on? Was there, someone who, maybe a lady who drowned there who was engaged to be married or something? Or was there something there before that new pavilion was there? And in all honesty, I really can't find that much information on it online.
Wow.
You're
That's-
sure there was
That's
nobody
pretty
there?
creepy.
There were no vehicles there. And if there was, why would someone be there at 3 a.m. slowly walking in a wedding dress with flowers?
So how slow, and was it like smooth, like gliding?
It just seemed like a normal person walking. Like it wasn't like, oh, that's a ghost or that's a, something. It was just seemed, when I first saw it, it just seemed odd that someone would be out there dressed like that at that time of the day. But then I immediately rationalized it as, oh, well, look at the scenery, the backdrop. Maybe they wanted some dramatic, but there was no dude. It was just her.
Yeah, no photographer.
No.
Yeah.
That's a
I
whole
would've
lot
got
of
the hell
nope.
out of there.
That's a whole lot of nope.
That's my story.
Have you heard similar instances like down around the Rayburn area?
No,
With
I've
the,
looked it up. I haven't. It's not a hotbed for ghost bride activity, if that's what you're asking, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a hotbed for ghost bride activity, but maybe Rayburn would be.
Bride.
Okay, Brandon, what do you think I saw?
Yeah, I don't know what you saw. I don't know. Maybe like she got left at the altar that day and she was just over it. I don't know. Did you look?
And was
Did anyone
staying at the
drown that
campground?
day?
Nope, I looked.
No. Maybe she was like, hey, I'm just calling it quits. Gonna walk off into Sam Rayburn in my wedding dress.
I looked. I can't find anything. So you have no idea what I saw. Matt, Stefan, what do you think I saw?
I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say you were suffering from some sort of odd dreams from a long, tired drive after eating Bucky's tortilla wrap kielbasa's the whole way is what my best guess would be. But I don't know. I mean,
Such a good comeback.
Wow, what a good reference for somebody that hates Bucky's, by the way.
Miles, what do you think I saw?
Well, you guys know how women get around their wedding day. She probably just woke up in the middle of the night and just had to check on something.
she's practicing.
I'm not a big believer in ghosts, like alien thing, Bigfoot. Yeah, there's some that's plausible, but I don't know, man. It's creepy. I definitely wouldn't be sleeping there. I'd be jetting out of there, launching somewhere else. But I don't know what
Was
you
there a
say.
wedding there the next day?
No.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, because I
Good.
launched there and practiced all day, and there, as far as I know, there wasn't. I mean, I didn't see anything.
I don't know if like they rented out the pavilion for a wedding the next day or something.
I mean, that could have happened, and I could have been gone. I mean, I put a full day in. I mean, I put in as it was getting light, obviously, because I wasn't sleeping, and then I fished the full day. So I mean, there could have been a day of festivities that I missed.
What
Gosh,
do
but
you
the
think
full
you
full
saw,
moon? Yeah.
What do I think I saw?
Yeah.
I think I saw a ghost bride.
There we go. I believe it. I'm sold now.
So convincing, Miles. All right.
I trust you.
Oh yes, Rich, you did miss the Bigfoot talk. All right, this is where I'm going to give each of you guys an opportunity to talk about whatever you guys have going on. I greatly appreciate this. Everyone went out on a limb to talk about this stuff. Listen, it's all in good fun. You can sit here and talk about the X's and O's of bass fishing and who's hole sitting for who and getting information from who and catching what from where and all that. But every once in a while, you just got to get a bunch of guys together and have a good old story time. And that's what we did tonight. So I appreciate it. So Miles, where can people follow you if they want to follow up on anything they saw tonight or one of those signature series shirts?
Yeah, well, this is one of a kind, as you can see. So I will sell this. I actually may just mail it to you, Matt.
Put it on the wall.
Yeah. Everybody could find me. I really don't have anything else to say. I haven't thought about fishing this entire time, so I can't talk about fishing. But you guys can come hang out with me. I'm probably not going to have any UFO stories on my YouTube channel, but I definitely am doing a lot on my YouTube channel, just like both of these other guys here. Everybody here is doing a lot on YouTube. But Sonar Fishing, you guys can see me on there as well as the other social media platforms. But I'm going to have to sleep this one off. I'm going to have some nightmares after this whole hour and a half.
Oh, that's good stuff. Brandon, besides from the Bassmaster cover near you, you got anything else going on that people that you want people to be looking out for? Are you doing the t-shirts this year? That's my question.
Yeah, we are doing t-shirts. We're doing I should have classic t-shirts up within a day or so. So they'll be going up. We're doing tourney tees for every video again. Okeechobee is probably going to be only as good as your last cast. Since the last time I was there, I finished 105th and then finished 24th this time or something like that. So yeah, we'll have a bunch of tourney tees. Got some cut ice cream hats now. So
Nice.
anyone that likes joking around about the cut ice cream, those are available. Yeah, other than that, I mean, we're pretty much we're already up in Tennessee and trying to get mind right and caught up before the Classic. It's almost like a syndrome when the Classic comes around that I just shut everything else off in the world and think only about the Classic, almost to a fault. So I'm trying to make sure that everything else is taken care of before that week comes around.
Well, thank you for taking an evening off to join BTL. I greatly appreciate it.
It was good.
All right, Matt, Stefan, your turn.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out for everyone to go subscribe to Miles Sonar Fishing YouTube channel because I think he's pretty close to 10,000 subscribers. And if you don't know this about YouTube, when you hit 10,000, you can sign up for their merchandising program, which means he actually will be able to sell the I Want to Believe shirts. So we got to get him to 10,000.
And he can
For
monetize
real.
so that he
Yeah.
builds
And
more.
this is a shirt that I tie-dyed too. Look at it.
Oh,
So
you
I
personally
want to-
tie-dyed that shirt?
tie-dyed. Yeah,
Was that like
I
a
did.
family activity, or were you just wake up one day and be
No.
like, you know what I
No.
want to do today? Let's tie-dye some shirts.
I think my wife was
Yeah.
was tie-dyeing. I've tie-dyed a few shirts in my day, just never like a sun shirt like this. But yeah, you definitely. Thank you for the shout out, Matt. How kind of you. How kind.
No problem, Miles. And by the way, I see people commenting that my wife is on here, and she did make a pretty good comment that, Miles, if you decide to send that shirt over to Matty Pangrak, you want to make sure you get the right address.
Yes,
'Cause he's
I
known for
gave them the
providing-
wrong address
Yeah.
for Christmas cookies,
Yeah.
which was a really bad move.
Oh, you can bank on you. You are getting this shirt. I have zero use for it after this. So
Did you
just leave it hanging on the mirror, like on the side mirror of his truck at the next EQ?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll 100%
Miles,
work.
now Miles is
use it-
frozen.
You could use it to clean out your live well first, too. Bring
Ooh.
out the live well.
Ooh,
Oh.
that's rough. All right, guys, it's been an hour
you
and
did that.
47 minutes. I'm gonna keep you all on as we get out of here. This has been been about 3 months in the making. Was that the last time you were on, Matt? When we figured out that, and then I put Brandon on an embargo that he couldn't talk about it until he did the show.
Yeah, you did. You texted me a long time ago about it.
Well, I just didn't want someone to be like, "What is this? You want to hop on?" Like I wanted to just kind of get ahead of the curve there because I knew that it would be a great show. But what I want to do is throw the BTL up logo and say thank you, gentlemen, for all stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, dude.
Enjoyed the hell out of that one. That was a good one. Good luck in the Classic, Brandon. Good luck in the second 2/3 of the season, Matt, Stefan, and I'll see you at Toledo Bend, Miles. I'll probably see all of you at the Bassmaster Classic. Are you going to the Classic, Matt?
No, I won't be there.
I will not see you at the Bassmaster Classic. I'll see you'll be there, won't you, Miles? Networking.
nope, I got a baby
won't
on
be-
the way.
Oh
I
yeah,
got a
that's
baby on the
coming
way
up
the
soon.
23rd. Riley Elizabeth's coming.
Wow.
Come quick.
In between derbies, good timing. Not
Well
like
played.
Brandon. Brandon just plans on having one on day 4.
Showed up the day after.
All right, this has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. We will talk with everybody next week. See ya.